this is what IDC calls legal friction, and it's the drag that slows down the operations of the business, and it limits our ability to be more strategic, and then that has a consequence of hurting the business performance. And the real impact of that, and some of the stats that come through, I'll just show you some of the stats. Some of the stats that come through from this report is that it results in delayed or lost revenue opportunities, wasted time on low-level tasks, even higher outside counsel spend, because we're outsourcing work that we don't need to outsource because for capacity reasons, and even reputational risk. And in fact, one of the scariest stats that I found from this is that I think it's 70% of business leaders admitted to bypassing legal just to get their work done, which is, I mean, if they're prepared to take those risks, I think that's quite telling on how we're actually supporting the business, and I've experienced that myself. So that's why this conversation today is so important. An integrated approach to matter and contract management is going to help to remove a lot of that friction, as you'll hear from Kaylee, streamlining workflows, enabling collaboration across the business, and giving us the ability to and the capacity to focus on what truly matters. So, Kaylee, first question for you is, can you briefly tell us about Dutch Brothers Coffee's legal team, your role, and what's the scope of legal ops at Dutch Brothers?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. My name is Kaylee McKee. I'm the Director of Legal Operations at Dutch Bros Coffee. I've seen my team evolve through many different sizes over the years since joining the company. But currently we have 6 attorney staff, 5 paralegals, and 10 support staff that do compliance and operations of various types. And legal operations, I oversee our tech stack, data and document management, hygiene. I obviously advise on operational efficiencies. That's the whole point of legal ops. And then I also partner with our CLO on strategic planning, reporting, and AOP management.
Wow, I mean, that's quite an extensive remit that you've got there, Kaylee. And obviously, tech is and other process improvement is kind of key to your role. So when you first started out on this kind of transformation journey, what were some of those key problems that you wanted to solve, or what were some of the outcomes that you were looking for when you started to look at investing in tech?
Yeah, I've actually talked about this a few times, and I always feel like I'm going through therapy whenever I talk about this, kind of a little bit of PTSD. But when I started at Dutch 10 years ago, we were a team of 4, 1 attorney, paralegal, and another support staff. And we had this master project list that we would go through on a weekly basis. And it really was supposed to cover everything that legal was doing and working on. And by the end of the life of that list, we were spending 4 hours a week just updating it as a team. And if you can think about resource spend, the 4 hours times each of our pay and like all of the other things that we could have been spending that time doing, it just really, it was a waste. So, so our GC at that time, he's very pro processes and efficiencies. He really truly saw a future where Dutch's legal team was cutting edge. And so he basically prioritized that need to find a better way to manage our work. So we went down this journey alongside a couple other departments within our company with the hopes that we could share the resources to find a solution. Took us through a shared document and contract management system that was didn't work out for us. We went back to emails and spreadsheets. We've tried project management tools, ticketing tools, basically anything out there we've explored and tried it out to see if it would solve our problem. But at the end of the day, it was very clear that the legal team needed their own space where we could really design our own playground to manage our work, own our outcomes, own our data, And that a key piece of that was contract management and matter management. They needed to work side by side. So really, like, how we got to that was asking ourselves, where are we
Mm.
and where do we want to be and how do we get there?
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was pretty wild. I mean, a lot of like moments where you have to stumble and you learn the hard way, but yeah,
Yeah.
we've been very intentional on continuing to ask that question.
Yeah.
And like, spreadsheets and emails are always going to be great. Like, it's an easy way to take care of leaks and the whirlwind and just get through the work, but you have to prioritize that 20% of your time to process, improve, invest in tech, invest in your people, and get to where you need to go. Which leads me to my second question, which is what I ask my team continuously, is what can life look like where you're able to
Mm.
spend all of your time doing what you were actually hired to do, rather
Yeah.
than, what we're stuck doing right now,
Yeah.
and what do we have to change to get there?
Yeah. I mean, and I think, I guess that's a challenge for many teams, is that, as you start to scale your team and to get it bigger, I think the typical approach for most in-house teams over time has been, we just employ more lawyers. We've got more work to do. We can't cope with all this work that's coming in, or we've got a different type of work coming in. We need more lawyers, and we throw lawyers at the solution. So for many teams that are out there, their starting point was, more people. It was
Yeah.
people before process and before tech. And I guess then that's the journey that you're now going on, is kind of put in place some of those kind of foundations. And we hear this often now, legal ops often for many organizations is the first hire. The first hire should be legal ops. Get your foundation sorted, get your infrastructure in place, and then you're in a better place to kind of build that out.
Yeah.
So I guess for you, it was, has it been kind of an iterative process, going through this kind of tech path that you've followed?
Yeah. And it's never too
Yeah.
late. Like, I feel like Dutch, we were lucky that joined the team such like early on in our exponential growth that we've been on. But it's never too late to invest in tech and systems.
Yeah, I guess, and like you say, the volume of time that we waste on what I call complex admin at times, which is the
Yeah.
kind of the ways of working, the just doing legal, is you don't notice that when you're in that way of working without kind of having any of the right processes or the right tech. You're just
Yeah.
doing what you've done. You're just doing work, but there's so much of that time spent, like you said, hours a week or even a day, doing non-legal activities. I think if we were to look at actually how much of the day do we spend on legal work as in-house lawyers, it's minimal compared to the kind of the other stuff, the admin, just getting stuff done. When you're navigating between all these disconnected systems and your emails are all over the place and documents are in shared drives and so on. And obviously you're in a better place now that you've kind of got a really good foundation, which I'm really keen to dig into. So I'd like to take a moment just to, I think, look at what are those kind of components of the system that you're using. You know, how do you define matter management, and what are some of the benefits of using matter management for you? Even what are some of those kind of workflows that you've improved or automated?
Yeah. So matter management, it's a tricky question. And I do think that matter management can change over time. So the question, if we were to ask my team today, what is matter management to you? I would say it's a very different answer than the previous teams. But
Mm.
really it's the foundation to get everybody organized and be able to talk about and manage the work in an effective way. And it's going to evolve with the business. You want it to be flexible, but you also want it to create that structure so that we aren't just running off in different directions.
Yeah,
Matter management also, to me, is the structure of your data. It's the groundwork to that. And if you set up matter management in a organized fashion with kind of, I guess, like loose groupings where things can flow, but you're very intentional with how you tie it all together. That is the groundwork that you will need in order to get to those next levels where you lay in contract management, maybe trend tracking, reporting, possibly even spend management down the road. So yeah, matter management is very key to it all.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of for any teams, that's a starting place. Is what the teams that I work with, their immediate sort of problem is, I just want to get visibility. We've got so much going on, and I just
Yeah.
don't know where things are at. And that's a huge risk. And how people can sleep at night is a challenge. So that's one of the main things. Is I just want to get everything into one place so I can see where it is, and then we can start to move out from there and start off on our kind of process improvement. So just want to pause there for a second and just get a sense check of I think it's time for a poll, if we can, Ash.
I am about to launch that, and I launched a sneaky one in there too, about legal operations, just to see where people were, because I think Kaylee's team is really lucky to have her, and there's a broad spectrum of folks who, on the call probably who, um, do and don't have a dedicated legal operations role versus kind of spreading that work across the team or just sort of
Mm.
figuring out how to make it happen. So we've got some data on that, as well as now I've launched a poll around matter management.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, if you can head over to the poll section.
It really just takes somebody who's able to take a step back and see those opportunities. It doesn't have to be a legal ops person. You just need someone who can step back. Our CLO currently, she's actually incredible at seeing those opportunities for efficiency. So
yeah, and I think that's right. I mean, there's so many teams who are saying we don't have the resources for a dedicated legal ops person, but legal operations is a substantial part of what we actually do in our work. The operational part of getting legal done is legal operations. So whether you have a person who can tell you should be doing that more efficiently and effectively or not, it's something that you really do need to focus on. Some huge time savings and value adds to get there.
You're so right. I used to say I'm a team of one, but really I'm a team of 21 because we're all legal ops together. So
that's right. And of course, it's probably one of those more, it's probably the biggest transformation, I think, in in-house legal over the past decade has been the growth of legal ops. So it's definitely something that we should be focused on more so than other. Yeah, I can't see the results from any of the polls there, Ash, if we've got something coming in.
Yeah, we do. I highlighted it on the screen, so hopefully it's visible, but may not be to you, Sean. But we've got a fair amount of people, a slight majority, I guess, that do have just over 50% that do have a matter management solution in place, a handful who don't, and a handful who hope to soon. So yeah, feel free. I think the poll will stay open for a little bit. If you haven't answered,
Great
you
stuff.
can put your in there. But
Nice.
a bit of a mix.
That's awesome. So I guess matter management is probably one of those key things in the foundation for at least an effective in-house function.